Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us on our new Q&A session. We are very excited to have one of the leading authors, TV personalities, radio personalities, and overall paranormal expert with us tonight, Mr. Dave Schrader.
Woo! Wow, with that lead up, I was excited to hear who your guest was.
Well, I mean, we can't do much better than somebody who has literally dominated every single facet of the paranormal field. So we're very excited.
Wow, I'm just going to hang out on your show all the time. You guys are nice.
Same. We're nice to everyone, living and dead. So
yeah,
very nice.
Truth.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, ladies. Thank you so much for having me.
Heck yeah.
Thank you for being here. Now, before we get started, obviously, we all know you from your radio shows, your podcast, Paranormal 60, the TV shows you've done, such as Holzer Files. How did that all start for you? How did you get into this wackadoodle field?
Well, you see, when a man loves a woman, they come together. Did you not want me to go that far back on how it all started?
Whatever you want, sir.
I've just been in a life in the supernatural. I had haunting experiences as a child with my grandparents after they passed, lived in a haunted house in Medina, Illinois, have just always been part of a family that's very open and accepting of the strange and supernatural. So it's been a part of my world and a part of my life. And things have just come together in a way that put me into the perfect job doing radio, talking about my favorite subject, which is the supernatural. And just have been building on that for the last 18 years.
Awesome.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I think it's all of our dreams to have that kind of ability to live in a world where we can do what we love day in, day out.
Yeah. I'd like to live in that world too. There are some days that are not as good as the rest. I spent a lot of time on the road, and my kids, I've gotten to that age now where my youngest is about to become 18 and, one more year of high school. So I've, it's gone fast and I've missed a lot being on the road.
Yeah. I can see that for sure.
It's hard. We have two 18-year-olds and it's a challenge. So you mentioned that you had some paranormal experiences from when you were younger. And I know you co-wrote a book called The Other Side, A Teen's Guide to Ghost Hunting and the Paranormal. So as a child growing up in Illinois, did you have any experiences in the paranormal?
Yeah, I had lived in a haunted house where we would hear things all the time. Footsteps, voices. You'd be upstairs and hear stuff downstairs. You'd be downstairs and hear what sounded like a TV on in one of the other rooms. And you'd go up and there would be nothing. So that was just part of our deal. None of it was ever terrifying or unusually creepy. It was just kind of like realizing we're coexisting with something unseen, which is weird because I did a talk. My alma mater, my high school, had me come out and do a talk like 3 or 4 years ago. And it was, 2 blocks from where I grew up. And the woman and her daughter that we bought that house from showed up to my talk. So when they heard me talking about the haunting, they both were kind of in the audience with their mouth open and their eyes wide. So afterwards, they're like, I don't think that ever happened when we were there. I said, I know. That's what's so strange is, with a haunting, you don't know what's going to waken it up. And a lot of times we want to consider a haunting must mean it's dead. It's something from our past. But how do we know we're not hearing reflections of the future? How do we know that the voices and bangs aren't the people 20 years from now that have bought this house and are fixing it up or changing things? So, I'm open to a big perspective of what we're dealing with in this field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We are too, for sure.
Absolutely.
Anything is possible, I think.
100%, which, that kind of refers to the whole time as a construct theory, right? Where it's kind of, I always refer to Doctor Who, timely-wimely, wibbly-wobbly. It all intersects all at the same time and it's forming all at the same time. So that's incredibly interesting. Yeah, that point, that activity, how can you know for sure? I mean, it could be you in 5 years doing it.
It very well could be. I think we're haunting ourselves all the time. You live with family and at 2:00 in the morning, grandma always gets up and goes to the restroom and you hear the door open and shut and the sink, run and the creaking of the bed as she gets back into it. And you wake up in the morning and she's sound asleep on the couch in the living room. And you're like, Grandma, didn't you go up to your room last night? Nope. But you heard everything that she was doing. But because she's alive, you don't put it in your head that there's something going on. I've often wondered, how do residual hauntings know to turn on? Residual being like non-intelligent hauntings or just something playing in a loop. Does it, it's like, oh, Dave suddenly dies today. Does that kick the residual in? I think it's been there the whole time. If you're doing something and making noises and, you hear these things at night and I've heard footstep shuffle from my bathroom to my bed in the middle of the night, but it's right when I've woken up to go to the bathroom. So am I just hearing myself in another layer? Am I remembering it? I don't know. It's fascinating, but that's what I love about this field is there's no one hard and fast rule, and we can kind of look at everything about it and how strange it is.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You can go down the rabbit hole, and you can, like stone tape theory, the theory that would be playing on a loop whether we were there to see it and hear it or not. And it is interesting, what causes certain people to be able to pick up on that and others don't.
Well, obviously they're demons and demon worshipers if they're picking up. Mediums, and psychics are of Satan, and paranormal investigators are definitely, cuddling with the devil himself. At least that's what everybody keeps telling me. So I might be wrong.
I love that.
I mean, it makes for good TV, right?
Yeah. According to the Weekly World News, it's all Bat Boy's fault. So who knows?
I keep threatening to get a shirt that just says, it's not a demon.
Yeah.
For real. Well, not for nothing, too. It's funny how people forget that the living has such a high capability of emitting energy from ourselves.
Right.
Like, we're capable
I think we call that gas, Brittany, but we get your point.
Yeah, right?
And nobody forgets how much you can release out to the universe, Brittany. I've read the blogs.
I know Brittany pretty well. I know some stories that could easily substantiate that statement.
Listen.
I'm not going there.
Listen,
Wow.
I've got IBSD. Take it from there. True story.
This took a turn that I didn't expect.
Speaking
Welcome
of
to
demons,
Dave's world.
Yeah. Exactly. That is definitely some demonic activity right there. For talking about it.
Totally unnatural. Right?
It helps me to see spirit better,
Oh.
Why does it help me to see?
Who needs that?
Apparently, paranormal investigators. Be bad if you've got like a team member who just can't see without his glasses, is Mr. Magoo in it, and there's a ghost right next to him and he can't see it because his glasses are off. So
Right. Yeah.
it's always good to be prepared.
You know what? I really wish the glasses from 13 Ghosts were like real.
Who doesn't want those?
Right?
Right.
Like, how cool would that be for like everyone, even skeptics, to be like, here, put these glasses on. What do you
I just
see?
I want the glasses from They Live. So you can put them on
You
and
didn't say that.
see
What was
all
that
the
movie?
messages
Everybody-
and the aliens and
True.
Didn't they all look like skulls? Wasn't that the same movie?
yeah,
Didn't
they
they
were
look
kind of skullish looking.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not falling for those glasses you can buy from the back of a magazine anymore, because not once was I able to look through clothing with my glasses that were advertised in comic books.
Your X-ray vision glasses.
I feel so cheated.
And sea monkeys are just freeze-dried brine shrimp. Just that was disappointing too.
Shut your whore mouth, Gail.
I know. I wanted to. They had the picture of the mom, the dad.
Me, Gail. If you don't know what you're talking about, shut your mouth.
Oh my god.
They wear aprons and have barbecue parties and packaging, Gail G.
She did. The mother had an apron. I remember that. Oh god.
You do that a little too well. A little too well. Oh my god.
Any other dreams you want to dash while you have the chance, Gail? We've got some kids around. You want to talk about the Easter Bunny?
Well, we're not even we barely started. I'm sure I'll come up with something before the end of the interview.
I mean, did we not just say that anything's possible? The Easter Bunny could be real. I mean, come on.
Could be from another dimension.
I heard her. She said you could be real. What a moron. Don't even stop by her house this year.
I'm just going to find some like little bunny pellets on my front porch. Yep.
Bunny pellets sounds cute. That's my dancer name for this going forward. You can see him at the Chunkendale's dancer. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Bunny Pellets to this.
You know, Dave, your drag name is your first pet and the first street you lived on.
No, that's your porn name, Gail G. You can't fool me with that trick. And I only know that it's your porn name because mine happens to be the coolest porn name ever.
Oh, yeah, what?
First pet and the street you grew up on, Goliath Woodview.
Oh.
That is
that. See, mine is Peppy Grand.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
You two would make a great dancing couple, I guess. We could put it that way.
Is that what we call it now?
I love you got to have Shane on and ask him what his porn name is because he'll just be humiliated. It's something, I kid you not, it's something like Salty Poorhouse or something. It's so stupid. It makes me laugh every time I hear it. And we
oh my god.
Mine's the worst. Pepper 56th Street.
But just go by Peppa 56. That'll be the Peppa 56.
That sounds like a rapper name.
Yeah, it does.
Hey.
Yeah.
You are from Brooklyn, I mean, you know.
Yeah, but no, I don't think no.
Then I've got Brittany above me in this. Look at her. She's getting all down with herself. So are we supposed to be talking about the paranormal or what? I feel like I've taken you guys way off base.
It's all good.
Ray, you're going to have to edit all this.
It's Ron.
What? Ron, Ray, Ron.
Her imaginary friend is Ron.
Sorry. Okay.
What do you mean imaginary? He's imaginary. Oh no.
I think she'd have a better imagination. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, I guess we could get back to it a little bit.
Hey.
Bubble burster.
Sorry.
No, I'm the bubble burster. Well, speaking of books and speaking of paranormal entities other than ghosts, you wrote another book called Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness.
I did.
Hey.
Yes, you did.
Just so happens that I have a copy here.
Woo!
I'm so glad. And and it's basically a compilation of tales of paranormal experiences. So out of the tales in the book, which one that stood out to you the most, including an entity other than a standard ghost?
I don't want to give anything away about the book, but they all stood out to me. That's why I love these stories. There's everything from time slip phenomena to the dream realm to the bloody bones man and black-eyed kids, ghosts, UFOs, aliens, changeling, doppelgangers. So there's really kind of a neat story. I didn't want it to be just a book of ghost stories.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, there's not enough really compelling UFO stories to hold up an entire book. So I just like that I could sprinkle in a little bit of them all. I've got two stories in here, including one that's about a haunted doll.
Ooh,
yeah.
Love it.
Yes. We've had experiences with haunted dolls. They've been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
One wound up in a river. I'll just leave it there.
Okay. All right. Was she trying to escape from you or the other way around?
The other way around, for sure.
That doll's out there rowing her little canoe going, I'm getting the hell out of here. These people are nuts.
She's like, what in the world?
Right.
Yeah, they think we're the weirdos. Meanwhile, we're looking at these entities going, what you doing over there?
Well, that's right. Having a book like this, it was cool to be able to give people's stories a chance to be told again and breathe life into them. A lot of these are stories I've collected over the last 18 years of doing my podcasts. And I host a show called The Paranormal 60 now. I did Darkness Radio for 16 years, with The Paranormal 60 for about 2.5 years. The book Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, you could buy it on Amazon. Or if you'd like a signed copy and you're in the United States, you can go to my website, paranormal60.com. It's on the front page. Just scroll down. You can get signed or unsigned copy. Unfortunately, it's a lot more expensive to send out a copy outside of the US. Like literally, it could cost more than the book costs. So that's why I've been holding it off. You could get them right through Amazon, and I'll be touring, and like I'll be in England later this year. So if you're in the UK watching or listening to this program, if you get a copy of Theater of the Mind, Tales from the Darkness, and show up at the Festival of the Unexplained with me, I'll be happy to sign it.
Heck yeah.
Awesome.
Nice.
So which out of curiosity, which entity other than a ghosty is kind of a passion project for you?
I'd really like to see a black-eyed kid in person.
Mm.
That would be one I would like to see. I would, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm so fascinated. I wouldn't turn down the opportunity to see anything. I would want to experience it all if I could. You know, I'd like to see more in the religious realm. I'd love to see something that, you know, it doesn't just look like an oil mark on the driveway that people say looks like Jesus. You know, I mean, I'd like to see Jesus. I'd like to see, you know, a religious icon like that in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
You know?
I actually follow someone online that is able to see, they're clairvoyant, and it's interesting to me because they're able to see religious figures from multiple cultures. So one normally, you know, is of the theory, if you're religious, you're let's say you're Christian based, you believe in angels, demons, gods, all that, but then you wouldn't necessarily believe in Odin, Freya, Loki, you know, Thor. They're able to see all of it, supposedly. And that's really curious to me. It makes me wonder what actually gives energy or creation to these energies. Is it that they were here first, or that our belief in them creates this bigger than life entity?
Right. That's the $1 million question, right? Is it an egregore? Is it a thought form? Is it something like that? I mean, I think we have to, it's really easy to just say there is nothing more out there. We're just this cosmic mistake. But that our bodies and our systems work in such a way, and that, you know, there are snakes that are born that have tongues that look like a fly on the end to draw frogs over so the snake can eat the frog. Right. It's just amazing the way that we adapt to situations. And it kind of feels like there's a creator involved in some way, shape, or form. So I think there's been enough interest and enough real world experiences that I do believe in a benevolent presence. I don't know if it's truly God, Yahweh, Jesus Christ, Donny Osmond, or Ronald McDonald. It seems it doesn't matter what name you give it. If you're trying to lead a good life and using this being as an example, I think that's the importance of it. So maybe some of these things people see are the interpretations of what that looks like, right? There's the famous story of the elephant parts, where 4 blind men were brought into a room and they were told to touch the thing in front of them and explain what it was. And the one blind man reached forward and he felt it. He said, well, this is definitely a tree trunk. And, you know, the other one was holding on to the tail and he goes, I've got a hank of rope here. And another guy was feeling the trunk and believed that it was a snake, right? I mean, everybody had a different perception of the same thing. So if this is what you're brought up believing and hearing because we didn't have a word for it that matched what everybody else said, I think that there's a lot to that these beings are one grand being, and it just presents itself in ways that are easy for us to experience.
Yeah, because they're kind of this higher being, possibly, that's just kind of trying not to scare us by presenting that, or maybe it's the way we're just interpreting the energy,
right?
Because that's how we kind of discuss it on investigations too. You can walk into a room with 3 different psychic mediums or clairvoyants. They could all see the same energy, see it 3 different ways. None of them are wrong. None of them are right. It's just the way they're interpreting the energy that's in front of them.
Right.
It kind of brings you to something we've talked about, which is like the soda can theory. Everyone is looking at the same can. They're just looking at it from a different side. So this person's looking at the can and all they know is the ingredients. So that's what they believe to be true. This person just sees the label, so they see the brand, the logo, they believe that to be true. Another person just sees, the expiration date, they believe that to be true. They're all right. They're also all wrong because they're only getting one side of the can.
Right.
Definitely. It's interesting.
It is very interesting.
I'm not sure if you can tell us or not, but do you plan on putting out more books in the future?
Yeah, I'm already working on book 2 in the series. I have right now, without needing to dig deeper, I've got enough to do about 5 or 6 of these books. I've got hundreds of stories. Some of them are better written than others, so I'm going back to the authors of these stories, the people that shared their tale with me, to get more details and information to share. I just didn't want these stories languishing in a drawer somewhere. It was a great email to read on a show 8 years ago, and then nobody ever hears it again. So
Right.
I've tried to curate these stories in a way that shows reverence and respect to the experience itself, gives us something to think about, might give us a little freaky moment. When you're reading it alone, I've had a couple people tell me, dude, I was reading this one story in your book and it was night, and I've just got the little light on next to my bed, and I had to keep looking up over the top of the book as I'm reading because I was sure something was moving around by my bedroom door, and the stories were just getting in their mind. So it's great. I love that people did that, and these stories were written by regular people, shared by regular people, and not many of them are writers. So I just asked them, can I take what you've given me here and make it better? I'm not changing the story, I'm not changing the experience, I'm not changing what they took from it. I'm just cleaning it up and presenting it in a more readable fashion. Sometimes I wish I had one sitting here. Sometimes I'll get an email that is 4 pages without a paragraph break, without it's just one wall of text, and you could tell that this person just had to get this out, and they just kept typing, and then once they hit it and purged it, they hit send, and they wanted it out of their life and out of their system, but they shared it. And a lot of the people are like, yeah, share the story, but don't say who I am because I'm prominent in my town. My name stands out. When your name is Binky Lipschitz and you've had an alien abduction story, and I go, and this comes to us from Binky Lipschitz, everybody knows who that guy is, right? So they're very cautious. Some of them just don't want their names. So where their names are acceptable, I use in the books, and for others, I've changed the names to protect the innocent. And that's basically what we've got here. But in every book, I'll sprinkle 1 or 2 of my own weird stories, and then all these other great tales.
Heck yeah. It's a great way to preserve other people's stories, but it's also a great way for other people to hear other normal people's stories, because a lot of this, paranormal stuff, a lot of people see on TV, on YouTube, whatever, but to be able to hear real stories from real people helps people.
It does. Lets you know you're not alone.
Yeah.
That's what a big part of this has been for me, is that I sat there with these stories in folders and in envelopes or on my computer for 18 years. And I thought, how many of these great stories have I shared where I got emails afterwards from people going, Dave, thank you for exploring that and letting that person have a moment to share their story, because I've been suicidal thinking I was insane to have seen or heard these things. And I fight that daily. And now for the first time in my life, I feel like I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. Other people are experiencing this. And I've got emails like that, like crazy. And it hurts my soul to know that there are people out there hurting because they believe they're alone and that they must be crazy. So in doing this, I hope I'm presenting it in a way that's informative, entertaining, and will educate people and give them the sense of community that the paranormal can bring.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
That's powerful.
And for everybody else, let's just hope the shit gets scared out of them. Ron, you're going to need to edit that out.
Bleep it.
Sorry.
Speaking of getting the shit scared out of you, you've been in many different paranormal shows. Is there a location or an episode that really sticks out in your mind?
Gosh, that's really hard. That's like asking me to pick my favorite kid. Every location to me has been really amazing for different reasons. Even the ones where we didn't really have anything happen. it's still interesting to be there. But the Whaley House, of course, from Holzer Files, where I got knocked down for the first time in my life.
I remember that episode.
Yeah, I got bit on the USS Constellation by some unseen force. So these were paradigm-changing moments for me. I would go back to any one of them without fear, but and that's not me trying to be just a badass, ghost hunter. It's me being who I am. I try not to walk in a place of fear and let that control my experience.
Right.
So my favorite episodes, the Oceanborn Mary story was just great. It was such a crazy, twisting, turning thing that every time you thought you understood the story, something else changed about it. And we dug through this myriad of maze of information and we found the truth, which was really exciting for me, that we got to put the truth out there, tell the story the right way for the first time, completely. So that was exciting. Having an episode at the Franklin Mansion in Ohio, Franklin Castle. My daughter got to be a part of that episode with me. So that's really powerful. And that one was an emotional episode from start to finish. So that one holds a great place in my heart. And we caught, I think, some of the best photographic or video evidence of a spirit ever. It appeared right behind us while we were doing another intention manifestation experiment, trying to help the spirits cross over. The little girl's spirit appears right behind Shane. We weren't even paying attention to it. We were all looking at the Ouija board, trying to close all the past sessions that people had opened there and left open. So we were doing that. And meanwhile, while we're looking at the smoke and fire, the real thing is happening behind us. And we caught it on video. And so that's a powerful experience and story. It's things like that. It's being in some of the most historic sites, like the Morris Jumel Mansion, where, it was in New York. It was used as the stronghold for George Washington during the American Revolutionary War. I got to stand in his war room right there where he was. And and then Aaron Burr ended up marrying Sarah Jamel and lived in that house. And I got to be in the room where it happened. The room where it happened. That's a little Hamilton for those of you out there paying attention. So it's cool to have these moments and experience them for myself. So it's like I said, I'd like to say it was this, but then I'm always like, no, that was cool. But so I've been really lucky in my life to get to lead a charmed life and get to go to so many places and see so many amazing things.
Yeah. And I think what you said about not going into them with fear is so important, because I feel like most people are pre-programmed to think, if I don't know what it is or I don't understand it, I need to be afraid of it. And sometimes when you walk into these locations where people are having these experiences, let's say even they are getting touched or scratched or pushed or something, you try to put yourself in the mindset of the spirit that's there, that it's trying to get your attention, and just standing there and screaming at you isn't working. Moving things around might not be working. Maybe this is just what they had to do to get your attention, and they really don't mean to scare you or mean to do it in a manner that makes them seem malevolent, but like they're just trying to get your attention. It's a cry for help,
right?
And I think that fear base that a lot of people have, which personally I think has been contributed to a little bit by some of the more theatrical television shows, automatically makes people go down a certain thought process with that kind of.
But I think people are either predisposed to be a fear run person, because here's the deal, like the elephant parts and the Coke can that you brought up earlier. I'm not afraid of spiders, but if a spider skittered across the screen, one of you most likely is going to jump.
Oh yeah.
Right. So isn't it interesting that we're seeing the same thing, but we perceive it in different ways? So I think that even in those, what you call more theatrical shows where they're, leaning into it a little bit more, I give them a lot of credit, because they know their audience, and audiences want to be scared. They want to, And I know I'm going to get emails already from people telling me, "No, I want the truth." Bullshit. You want the truth. You know how I know you don't want the truth? Because I was on an episode of Ghost Adventures called The Demon House in Seattle. And we went in and this guy made claims that made Amityville sound like a cakewalk. We went in, we got nothing. I don't even think we got a dust orb. And we presented that episode. And I was proud of that episode. And people tore it apart. You wasted an hour of my life watching this show, and that's so moronic, and there was nothing there, and blah, blah, blah. But yet, oh, yeah, every place you guys go is haunted. Right. Every place is so right. Well, no, it happens that sometimes we film 2 to 3 episodes a season of a show that you'll never see because of your response to an episode where we got no evidence. So I know that there are some of the coolest shows out there. You'll never get to see that episode, which I think is a crying shame because it would give you more respect for just how often we don't get things, but when we do, how much more impactful it is. So I think people just need to kind of settle down with what they want and what their expectations are, and just watch a show because you want to watch the show. And I'll tell you what, I have friends on every one of the shows that have existed, and I don't want to say I take offense at calling them theatrical, but something that you don't know, and it'll give you a little bit more insight, is like if you ever watch me on Ghost Adventures, right? I'm pretty unflappable. So I'm also was real worried about looking like an idiot. So I was real stoic. And yeah, that's weird that would happen. Huh. I wonder what caused that. And you know what? Boring. What you're doing is when you're on TV, you're playing to an audience in a packed theater, and you got to make sure the people in the last row know. Now, do I in my daily life go, what was that? No, I'll slowly turn my head, but I might jerk it a little faster for TV. Not that I'm faking anything. I heard it. It's there, but you need to see something happen because when you're watching a show, if this was my response, that show's going to last 2 episodes and be gone.
Yep.
No, that's baloney. I want to see that because I'm blah, 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 science, and I want the truth. And when we've done shows heavily slanted toward science, this is so boring. Just show us the evidence. Did you see a ghost? I miss the days when Zach got possessed. You know, I mean, that's the whole thing is people are never happy with what they're getting. And that's why there's a great variety of different shows that handled it in different ways. And everybody has a place. Everybody has a position in this field, and the entertaining ones have kept the field alive a lot longer than I thought it was going to be possible, because we're coming into our 20th year of paranormal programming, and it is pared down considerably down to 1 or 2 of the last remaining stoic groups out there. And you don't have to like Ghost Adventures, but I can guarantee you this: if Ghost Adventures goes off the air, that's probably the death of paranormal TV for 5 to 7 years.
Oh yeah, for
because
sure.
when not that it's the series is dead, not that the interest is gone, but it's been 25 seasons for them, and they just may want to step away from it. Well, every other network's going to look at it. If their top show couldn't survive, we're not putting any money into bringing other programs out. Instead of looking at, okay, well, they ran their course, let's find the next cool show and bring it out there. So that's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. But I give credit to every show because they've all brought important elements to stories, and they've helped reintroduce history to people in a way that makes it entertaining. And you know what, when you watch shows like Ghost Adventures or Ghost Hunters or the Holzer Files, do you know what I hear most? God, I love the history you guys do on these shows.
Yes.
No, for sure.
100%.
It's reawakening a part of history that you might not know otherwise. That's why I said, if you're a good teacher out there and you can find a way to incorporate the paranormal in history and teach these stories through the eyes of the lens of a ghost, I think your students would be enamored with whatever you have to share. Okay, so this is the ghost story of the conference house. So let's break this down now. This house was this, and at one point, Ben Franklin was told by George Washington during the war, I need you to go meet with the king's men. I trust you. Whatever decision you make, we will go with. Knowing that the king might bribe them to just lay down their weapons. But whatever you believe in, Ben, I trust you to make the right decision for our country. And Ben Franklin went in there. And now this house still exists 200 years later because of that 3-hour, 4-hour exchange with Ben Franklin. But there's so much more to the story. So let's open it up with the story of Ben Franklin and why this was a historically important place. But now let's dive in to the ghosts. And what do the ghosts have to tell us? Well, the ghosts have to tell us a whole nother element of the history, is the fact that when the British settlers were coming here, not us coming to settle America, but the British settlers were coming here to build the British Empire. They were the ones that were first responsible for slaughtering many of the Native American tribes and the horrific things that they did to the indigenous peoples. So what goes on here is you're now telling that story in a way that's going to be more impactful for people. They're going to learn of the horrendous nature of what really took place. We've taken the veneer and the polish and the whitewash off it and put it out for you to hear the truth. And now we can get into the ghosts, and you have an understanding of why the ghosts are there. And I think that that would just grab the attention of people so much more than just, in this house, there was once an important meeting. Right. And Ben Steining it for the rest of the class. So I hope people find passionate ways to engage the paranormal and that they look past just being a ghost, but why? Who?
Right.
What is the reason? And maybe, just maybe you'll get to do like I did on Holzer Files and Ghosts of Devil's Perch, where I could give voice back to the spirit realm. I could help, and Cindy and Shane could give that person their story back and put it right.
Definitely.
Absolutely. And I think just like how your books and your podcast help people to be comfortable to share their stories, I think paranormal TV shows 100% did that. You know, they brought a whole new respect for the field and a whole new ability for people to be able to talk about it without fear or shame or embarrassment. And I think the influx of paranormal TV shows has definitely had a positive impact on our ability to help people because they're not as reluctant to come forward to ask for the help when they need it.
Right.
And I think that's why your books and your podcasts are so important, because it's just one more platform for somebody to be able to share that story and share that experience in a way that allows them to feel heard and validated. I think that's all anybody wants is validation. Yeah. They just want, even if you can't help them, they just want to know they're not crazy.
Yeah. And I've had people tell me, I don't want you to respond to this email and I don't want advice. I just need to get this out. I need to finally tell somebody what happened to me.
Yeah.
And I love being that sounding board. I'm so thankful and privileged to know that people see in me a friend, if you will, and that they're willing to bring those stories. So for any of your viewers and listeners, you can always email me, Dave at paranormal60.com. And if you want somebody that's willing to read or listen to your story and you want to feel like it's a safe place, you can always reach out to me. And if you give me permission, we might share it on an upcoming episode, or it might end up in one of my future books. You never know.
Hey.
Yeah. Once you get past the fact that in every story I show up in really tight t-shirts and sometimes with a cape and I beat up the ghosts. I mean, once you get past that part, the rest is almost exactly as it really happened.
So the little subtitle of it underneath is Schrader Superman of the Paranormal.
That's, well, I wouldn't be that bold to put that on the cover, but that's your words, not mine. However, what I was bold enough to put on the cover was this quote from Josh Gates, which is one of my favorite things. He's told me this in person numerous times, and then I reached out. I said, I'm releasing a book. Can I put your quote on the back? And he laughed at me and he goes, you are such an idiot. But yes, go ahead. Oh. Dave Schrader is the unofficial mayor of the paranormal world. Josh Gates, explorer and TV host. So
love it.
Buddy Josh Gates supports me, supports the book, and I love the fact that whenever I talk to him, he's like, how do you know so many people? Dude, you are the unofficial mayor of Paranormal Town. And I'm like, I'll take that. So
yeah, why not?
Yeah.
I'd vote for you.
Yeah, we support you.
Excellent. Well, then send your campaign donations now, ladies.
Making it rain.
Hey.
Show me the money.
Let's keep a tally of how many movie quotes we can have in one.
Really.
You don't want to pull that in, because I promise you, from this point forward, it will be nothing but movie quotes.
Uh-oh. It sounds like a good drinking game to me.
You're going to need a bigger bar. That's all I'm going to say.
Love it. Love it.
Yes.
So where would you like to go next in our conversation of the strange and supernatural?
I think Britt has the next question, because we kind of covered mine.
Oh, yeah, look at this. You guys roll it around. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So do you feel investigations?
Wait, that was adorable, Brittany. Yeah. I love that. That's the equivalent of my dog. I want to go out. Yeah, let's go. I like that. All right.
Always ready. Okay. Do you feel investigations are different in other countries? And what was your favorite international location?
Yes, the way that they perceive the paranormal and deal with the paranormal is different radically in all these different countries. And it's so funny to me to be in places like last year alone. I was in Egypt, Germany, Prague, and England. And I got to investigate in every one of those areas, and to see the way locals just treat, this is just the way it is. Or this is how we do this. We leave these bits out for these spirits or whatever they're dealing with. And I love watching and watching the interaction, and like here in America, if I say, we're going to table tip, you guys will roll your eyes and be like, what kind of chicanery is this, right? What kind of shenanigans are we getting into? But overseas, that's just a natural part of what they do. And I've watched tables gallop, and that is not an over exaggeration. I have watched them gallop and buck around, and people doing their best to try to keep up with the table. And I've thought, and I've been there with friends, and I'm like, you go up there and put your fingers on that table and push down as hard as you can, so that whichever one of these little freaks is moving that table, they're going to have a bigger fight. And my buddy came back and he's like, dude, I could not control that table. And there were times that the women that we thought were controlling it would take their fingers off the table altogether and just stand there as the table's bucking and rolling. So I've seen amazing things. I wish we'd be more open to that in America, and I would love to have some of my friends, Ann and Renata from Australia, are very proficient at table tipping. And we just did that when we were out in, where was it? Was it England? Might have been England. But we went out and did this investigation and broke out one of the tables. And I've got like a 20-minute video of this table just going crazy. So to me, that's cool. But what does it mean? Why are they galloping a table around? It just might be a playful ghost. Right? It might just be somebody that's entertaining us. I don't understand it. I don't claim to have all the answers. Don't tell my kids that, because I tell them I know everything, and let's just keep that between us. But it's fascinating. I love going overseas and watching how people treat and revere the paranormal.
Hell yeah.
So do you feel that the difference in activity is because of the culture, or just because so many of those countries are so much older than we are here in America, other than Native American history, obviously, in spirit?
Yeah, I think we block so much because this is our belief system, that they're having, I think, a more rich environment and experience because they're allowing other things to happen that we would just roll our eyes at. So instead of rolling your eyes and huffing and snorting, go put yourself in the experiment. And if you still walk away rolling your eyes and huffing and snorting, you have something to say. But if you come back like my friends did, going, I don't know what just happened. We could not control that table. I was watching the women that I thought were pushing the table take their hands off the table, and it would still continue to do what was going on. So I think we just need to learn to accept even the weirdest looking thing as reality. And I had a buddy of mine who used to have a little bell on a table, and that's where his grandmother used to sit. And when she was ill, she couldn't walk, she would ring the bell. And he would just go, hey, watch this. Grandma, are you over there? And you'd hear ting-a-ling-a-ling. And then we'd be talking about something, and he'd go, Grandma, what'd you think of that? Ting-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling. And it was just like, holy crap, what is going on? And I'm walking around and I'm looking and I'm like, you have something in here that's responding to your voice. And he goes, yeah, my grandmother. He goes, go put your ear by the bell. So I did. I'm literally like an inch away from the bell. And he goes, Grandma, let him hear it. Ting, ling, ling. And I could hear it from the bell. And I'm like, son of a gun.
Damn.
But they were just, that's just grandma, right?
Yeah.
I had a friend where I grew up. His brother took his own life and they left the bedroom as it was. Well, his brother was a musician and he kept a guitar in the floorboards in his bedroom. So you'd lift up the floorboards and there was a guitar. And we would be in there and all of a sudden you would start hearing the guitar strum under the floorboards. You could hear something strumming it away. And I'd go, is that his guitar? Yep. And I'm like, he's playing it right now? Yep. We're like, that's crazy. But I can't explain it. I was right there. I witnessed it.
Wow, that's really cool.
That's very cool.
That is cool. So, Dave.
Yes, Gail G.
Your history as a paranormal radio host is legendary.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. How did Darkness Radio come about?
Well, when a man loves a woman, Gail. I did college radio with Tim Dennis at KQAL in Winona, Minnesota. That was our college station. And we did radio together for 2 years. And then I went back into the real world and he stayed in the low paying job of radio and worked his way through the ranks. And he was, I think, program director or assistant program director for this little radio station, KLBB. And he reached out to me one day because we'd stayed friends. And he goes, hey, I have a 1 hour spot on Sunday nights from 11 to midnight. Do you want to do a radio show together? I'm like, yeah. He goes, what should we do? I go, how about the paranormal? We both like it. We're both fascinated by it. Coast to Coast comes on at midnight. So we'll kind of be the local lead into Coast to Coast. He goes, but it's on another station. I said, I know, but it's on the next station. So when people are scrolling down looking for that station and they're going to hit us, they'll hear us first. And that's how we began. And that was January 1st, 2006. And within, I think, 2 months, we went from 1 hour to 2 hours every Sunday. And after 2.5 years of doing that, the radio station got sold. And we pre-recorded a bunch of episodes to just stream until we could find a new house and a new place for our show. We streamed our last episode and began the following week on KTLK radio in Minneapolis. And we lived there for 8-9 years doing the paranormal. And, we started off on weekends, then we moved to weeknights, and we went from weeknights 11 to midnight to 10 to midnight to 9 to midnight. Had we stayed there a few more years, it might've been a 6 hour a night show. I don't know. We just kept building. And then they brought Coast to Coast over to our station and our network. And Coast to Coast AM has kind of been that premier weird radio show where you could tune in at midnight until 4 a.m. and hear ghost stories and aliens and time travelers and all kinds of amazing stories. And we got to become the official opening show in Minnesota for Coast to Coast. And then the opportunity came to let me fill in. And I started filling in on Coast to Coast AM. And I did that for 5 years. So it's been just a blessed life getting to do all these amazing things.
Wow. That's awesome.
That is awesome. And now it's kind of graduated into podcasts, which is kind of like a modern day radio station, right? And
I miss radio. I actually work locally here. I'm a fill-in host on WCCO radio in Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is kind of this old radio station that's, they call it the good neighbor. It's been here forever. And now I get to fill in and I get to do everything but paranormal so that I can talk about my family or cars or politics or medical issues or whatever and have a good conversation. But I miss that vibe of radio. But I love the podcast element. I love some of the freedoms it gives us and the opportunities to talk to people and do shows like this.
Absolutely. And Paranormal 60 is an awesome collaborative podcast, correct?
Thank you.
And is there anything that's come up on Paranormal 60 that's kind of changed your point of view of the paranormal in any way, like radically, or just a theory?
No, I'm always open. Like I said, I treat the paranormal like water. I'm always willing to let new information spill in and evaluate it and move through. nothing's changed me radically. It's been a slow erosion over the years of my belief systems and bringing me to different points. So that's what I would say is going on. Probably the only thing that's been a major change is the fact that, on Wednesday nights when we do the Paranormal 60 News, we all have a drink in hand. And whenever somebody messes up a story, we all have to have drinks. So I've learned that my liver is not as happy about Wednesday night as the rest of me is. So I've tried to be as, fun as we can. But Monday nights, we are more serious like doing interviews. And that's me and whatever guests I have on. Wednesday night, I have my Paranormal 60 News crew, this batch of my goofy friends from Texas and my buddy Tressa from Chicago. And we just sit around and kind of talk about the news of the week and the strange supernatural news and what does it mean to us? What do we think these things mean? We kind of debate different topics from life after death to, poltergeist to monsters, myths, and legends, and just kind of have a good time doing that and, try to make it as accessible to listeners as possible. So we're never talking over your head, but hopefully we're still educating you. You're learning some things as we discuss this.
Yeah. And I think that's kind of the whole point of all this, right? To give people an open forum, validation, and knowledge, as much knowledge as you can have about something you really don't have any answers for.
No, I'm in it for the fame and fortune.
That too.
I don't know why you guys find that funny. There's so much fame and fortune. The reality of reality TV is there's no money in reality TV. Yeah. That's why you see us having to write books and do 1,000 conferences a year to stay relevant and stay alive. But I love it. So I wouldn't change a thing. And I love getting out and traveling. So if you have your listeners are looking to get off the couch and instead of just watching vicariously on TV, I'm going to be out, I think, about 20 different cities and states this year, plus a trip to England in September. And if you want to join me, darknessevents.com. Darknessevents.com.
Nice.
There's all the places.
Awesome. Well, we're coming up to the hour here, so we're going to start wrapping things up a little bit. And one way we like to end our Q&As is by asking a question called, "What is your oh shit moment?" And what that is to us is a lot of people, they're curious about the paranormal. They've gone out, they've done things, but they've had that one moment on an investigation or maybe even just sitting at home where something happened to make them go, "Oh shit, this is real. This actually exists." Do you have a moment you could share with us like that?
I've had many oh shit moments. And, from the Whaley house when I got knocked down to getting bit on the arm to being knocked down in another location where it split my back open. I got pushed so hard. So those have been some oh shit moments. Having a psychic awareness about my mom the night that she had a massive seizure, knowing that something was wrong. And I went home and got in the door and she had a grand mal seizure in front of me. And she ended up in the hospital. That was impactful and a holy shit moment. And seeing my first full-on shadow person at Waverly Hills Sanatorium as it walked past me and through me. So those were some of the moments in my life that have really left me just blown away, seeing UFOs in the skies over Trout Lake, Washington, and watching this thing fly through the sky. It looked like a stingray or manta ray swimming through the sky, and it glowed blue. Wow. It was so weird. I thought he's projecting something on a screen between those trees. There's no way what I just saw is real. So yeah, I've had all kinds of remarkable moments like that, and I love them. And man, I hope that I have another 56 years of oh shit moments. Only now most of them have to do with Dad, I need your help. Oh shit.
Those are different ones.
Yeah.
Different kind of moment altogether.
Yeah. The paranormal kind.
So you mentioned that you've got some stuff coming up in the UK this fall. Okay. Yes. And if you want to talk a little bit more about that and anything else that you are working on in the future that you would like to promote?
Well, I'm working on a couple of projects that I can't talk about yet. I'm working on the books to continue with that, my podcast. And then just traveling. I'm going to be in Virginia City, Nevada coming up in, I believe, July, and be investigating and doing some talks there. So that's been popularized on shows like Ghost Adventures and Ghost Hunters. So I'm excited to get there. I'm doing the trip to England. That's not only a tour of haunted hotspots. We're going to be on the trail of Jack the Ripper. We're going to get a chance to investigate some really cool places, including the Hellfire Club. Hellfire Club.
Nice.
Yeah. And we're also going to stop during that tour for like 3-4 days. We're going to be at a very haunted location that is holding a paranormal conference. So you get to be a part of a UK paranormal conference as well. So we're doing that. I've got the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash coming up in, I think, July. That's a mouthful to say. I'll be there for that. I'm doing a couple of events at the Palmer House in Sauk Center, Minnesota in April, Oklahoma later this year. It's just they keep building. So if you go to darknessevents.com, that's the best way to find out where I'm going to be, when I'm going to be there, and how we can connect and see each other.
Awesome.
Right.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. I'm sure people are going to love having those experiences with you and meeting you. This has been a fantastic hour of conversation. Truly appreciate you being here with us tonight and sharing all of your knowledge and expertise and your movie quotes with us. So really appreciate that.
Don't worry, I'll be back.
Oh,
there you go. Thank you.
Mic drop right there. Done. We're done. Nothing else more to say.
Love it.
Okay. So again, thank you everyone who's listening and partaking in our Q&A. If you could please, if you don't already, please subscribe to our channel, click the little notification bell to get notified, comment on the video. Well, what was this?
That was me ding, ding, dinging the bell. Come on, pay attention, Galen.
I thought I missed something. Okay. I thought I said something wrong.
You did miss something. Me going ding, ding on the little notification bell.
Gotta end it on a funny note. Always gotta laugh.
Yes.
Thank you.
Subscribe to this show, and not only subscribe to it, but rate and review it wherever you listen to or experience this program. Because I'm Dave Schrader, the unofficial mayor of the paranormal, and I deem it that important.
Yes.
That's it. We're done.
We're done.
Perfect ending.
Excellent.
Thank you,
ladies.
everyone.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so
Dave.
much.
Take care.
See you all
Have a good rest
soon.
of your night.